Behind the mask.
What up, my boy?
What's good, family? Another day in paradise. You know what it is.
Absolutely, man. We sitting inside of the BTM lounge and we listen, this is a big time day for us.
Yeah.
You know, we got a generational talent that definitely has came through inside of the lounge to bless us with his presence. May I get into it a little bit more?
Let's go. Proceed, my brother.
Listen, man, we got a true legend of Major League Baseball. He's a World Series champion, also former MVP. Once an MVP, you're always an MVP, right?
Indeed.
One of the most feared power hitters of his generation. During his 13 years with the Philadelphia Phillies, he left an unforgettable mark on the game, known for crushing home runs and delivering in clutch time moments. But beyond the diamond, he's a savvy entrepreneur and a great businessman. We got to dig into it, too. The big thing that I appreciate about our next guest is that he's helping shape the next generation, both in sports and also in business. Let's welcome to the BTM Lounge, future Hall of Famer, Ryan Howard.
Oh, man. That's so, man. Let's go home. That's it, bro. Let's leave it at that. Let's go. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. It took us a while, but we finally got
it. We got it figured out. We got it all worked.
We got it figured out.
Yes, sir.
And we got some history. You were in Philly the same time. I was in Philly the same time. You were in Philly.
Right.
You stayed longer. I stayed for a cup of coffee. But I got to ask you now, because you grew up, you played all sports. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the one that you were most dominant in, that's what everybody knows you for. But I got to ask you, though, who are the better athletes? Major League Baseball or the NFL guys?
Oh, man.
Remember where you at.
I know exactly. I got to make it out of here. You know what? I got to stick with my boys. I got to go baseball, man. I got to go baseball. I've seen it. Look, I've seen it where we had guys come over from the Eagles. Hugh Douglas, love you, bruh. Love you. My man had the pants. Like, we should have ordered him some bigger pants because you know how big Hugh's legs are.
I'm surprised they could fit.
Right? He would tell you, I used to tell him all the time, I was like, Hugh, you got that Euro fit before Euro fit. And I'm like, how does this even work?
Taper.
But like, you get guys over, and I'm not saying it was Hugh, but you get guys that would come over.
Yep.
We had Jameer Nelson who would bring his guys over too, basketball guys. And they get out and they take batting practice on the field. And as soon as that ball was coming towards their head, they'd be like, oh. So it was like, I was like, man, you scared of that little ball, bro? You got 300-pound linemen and stuff, like, coming at you and all that. And like, you just, this little ball, bro, like, come on, man.
It's different, though. The ball is small, you know what I'm saying? And you 300-pound line, you can see a 300-pound lineman coming at you. That ball start moving and all of that stuff. Remember?
Yeah, but the 300-pound lineman is coming at you to make contact with you.
Right.
So the ball usually is not coming at you to make contact with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you trying to make contact with it with the bat. I'm just saying.
Hold up. So you mean to tell me y'all throwing curveballs to NFL players? What happened to a regular fastball, man?
Bruh, you know what they say? The best way to hit the curveball is to hit the fastball, bro. Stay away from the curveball, bro. Hey, I'm just gonna say, boy, Michael Parsons, bro, he out there talking about he can go out there go hit what, 200, something like that, or whatever. Man, we got to get him set up, man. I think they're gonna get him set up and face some pitching or whatnot, bro. So we got to see. So we'll start it off. We'll put it to the test. I know there were some football players that played baseball and played multiple sports, but I think that's why it's important for kids today to play multiple sports. Because I think at this point in where we are, like I said, I grew up, I played soccer, I played basketball, I played what else? Baseball, and then I didn't play football until I got to high school. My freshman, sophomore year, I got hurt both years, and then shut that down, going in and just stuck with basketball and baseball. But because our team wasn't gonna be We weren't gonna be good. But
That sounds like Charles Barkley moment.
yeah. So, but I think that today's youth is like these kids are being forced to play one sport the entire time, and I think there's so many different skill sets that you can learn from with the physicality I was able to take from football when I played my couple years, and then played and took that over to basketball. Because I had to guard dudes that were 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
So I had to chop them trees down low. You know what I mean? I didn't have the ball handling skills to be a point guard, which, point guards are now 7 foot.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you got to get in there and get physical with them cats.
Yeah.
And just all the different things from baseball being a game of like, I used to say it was a game of failure, but now I call it a game of perseverance because it's the only game you can go up and fail 70% of the time and still be considered like great.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Like anything else, you can't fail 70% of the time. And like go home and go do a test and be like, yo, I failed 70% of the question. I got a 30 on my test. What's that? That's an F.
That's,
you know what I mean?
That's the key when we got our MBAs.
Bro. That's the craziness about
Till you were cheating on my pay.
Stop it. Yo, I will say though, I give you your props because again, that's in my opinion, baseball is the most difficult sport in that it's not natural. You said a 300-pound lineman or a linebacker coming directly at you, right? You guys are standing sideways, looking down, up the mound to the pitcher who's throwing this ball 90, 80 miles an hour at you, and it's moving. And remember the movie Major League?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was in high school. I was Serrano, Pedro Serrano.
Okay.
I could hit every fastball. This is high school. I'm going dating myself. Every fastball, 3 home runs in the game and everything. As soon as I got to varsity and they started throwing curveballs, I was running up out of there, man.
You ran out of the box?
Hell yeah. You ever been hit with a fastball?
No, I've been hit with a softball though.
The softball? What the celebrity softball? Nah, man. Nah, I'm talking about a fastball, bro. Like you sitting there and the coach will tell you, don't run up out the mound because you look like a sucker. He's like, yo, just turn your back. Yo, then that fastball hit you in your spine, man. That shit ain't cool. That's painful, man. I said, nah, I'm out of here, Jack. I said, and that's what I stopped playing. My freshman year, I stopped playing baseball and then started playing basketball. So did the same thing, basketball, football, like yourself. But to your point, yeah, definitely. I give you AI props to that, but I still think football players.
Look, we got athletes on both sides because we got guys that can hoop, guys that can golf, guys that can do all kind of things. But once you get on that diamond, because we got guys that what would be the equivalent for a baseball player? Like the same way we'd have y'all come over there, come take batting practice.
Yeah.
What would be that equivalent? Would that be like running a route or something like that? Or
actually, no.
What would that be for?
A toughest thing would probably be 9-on-7.
No, I would say Oklahoma. Even though they
okay.
Oklahoma drill.
Because at first I thought like maybe it was like trying to take a lead, like a block or something like that. So like Oklahoma drill.
That's Oklahoma drill.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like you got some dudes that'll step up and do some Oklahoma drills.
Nah, you got some dudes that quit on the first day after Oklahoma drills. Like NFL players quit. They's like, nah, this ain't for me. Like made it that far to the league and they said, nah, we done.
Nah, I mean I hear you on that. It ain't gonna be me.
I know it.
But
wasn't you?
We got some dudes. How would you think Aaron Judge would do? That's a big boy, man.
You know what though?
In that, he'd be like a DN tight end.
I'm not. He would. He big boy. Listen, he passed the look test. I tell you that much. But he need to pass the smell test when he get down in that stance. Because you get plenty of them out there who look like Tarzan now.
Right, that's true.
But they come off like James.
Stanton. Maybe Stanton.
I like Stanton.
I think Stanton was supposed to go. I think he got an offer or something like that. I may be wrong, to play at USC. Football.
Did he?
So we can fact check that.
Yeah.
We can fact check that and see if that. So I mean, he might have to be that designated dude that we'd have to call upon to represent Major League Baseball players.
I know it. We might have to call him in, get him a sample of Oklahoma.
Right.
Man.
See if he can get down with that.
Hey, you and Jimmy Rollins, y'all started your podcast.
Yes, sir.
611.
Yes, sir.
The 611 podcast.
611.
Man, take me through it, man. Like, what was the idea of coming up behind it, and what should we look forward to with more episodes dropping?
It's just Ryan and Jimmy being Ryan and Jimmy, man. Like, it's funny because my wife was like, yo, like, you guys should have a podcast because y'all just mess around all the time and just your energy, your chemistry and demeanors and all that kind of stuff, man. It was like, you guys should just have a podcast and go out and do it. And we're like, all right. So we're doing it through MLB, and we don't want to just be a baseball podcast. We want to be able to reach out to different genres of people's different athletes, different entertainers, entrepreneurs, just hit different facets and just talk about life, man, and just hit different things. You know, a lot like with what you guys are doing, and just have fun and enjoy doing it, man. Have fun sitting here chopping it up with the guests, chopping it up with each other, and just enjoying it, man.
Yeah. So both of y'all were teammates.
Yes.
And I thought that was the cool thing. Me and Tutan, we were teammates. And to be able to see you guys have that bond and all the way up until now, when you're done with the game, you still contributing in the media space, controlling to the narrative.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, it's like it's that brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like Jimmy was big bro to me. Like when I first came up, he took me into his house, and let me stay there. He helped kind of mold me and shape me along with some other guys in terms of what I needed to do to become a big leaguer and how I need to go about carrying myself. And I've always been very, very grateful for it. And we've just had that relationship. It's funny. It was one time we went out and. That you remember McFadden's that used to be right across the street. So McFadden's is attached to. It used to be attached to baseball stadium, Citizens Bank. And my rookie year, I think it was like 04, 05, somewhere in there. Like sometimes after games, we used to go over to McFadden's, and so Jimmy and I went over to McFadden's, and we were just sitting there. Jimmy was sitting at the bar. I was standing next to him. And like this girl had just walked up and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like Jimmy Rollins." And she stopped and she looked at me and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you his security?" Oh. And I was like, we just looked at each other.
The big
and dying laughing, bro. I was like,
false.
I was like, man. And,
I worked.
I was like, well, yeah. So it's like, again, and it was hilarious, man. And we've just always had that chemistry and that relationship, man. That big brother, little brother. Even though I'm bigger than him.
I know it, right? Big brother, little brother.
Yeah.
And going back to 2008 was a special year for you guys. When you look at the team now, the Phillies, what they're doing now currently in the playoffs, how do you see any similarities from your team to this team now?
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of similarities to the team. I will say, like, one of the things was we didn't have. Rule number one for me was no panic. Like we didn't panic, and this team doesn't have any panic.
Regardless of whatever.
Regardless of what the situation.
Your top pitcher going out, he throw 2 homers in the first inning.
Yeah, no
panic.
They seem to be. They know who they are, and I think that was one of the things that I'd always said about these teams because they've always had the talent. Is you have to know who you are as a team. Mm-hmm. Like when you're on a successful team. You know what your identity is. Hey, we're Showtime, or we them dudes that when you leave, like, you're gonna be like, damn, that was a hell of a fight out there today. You know what I mean? It's like we're grinders, or we're this, or we're that, whatever it is, between Showtime or being grinders, whatever the identity of your team is, it's like, that's what your identity is going to be, and you lean into it. These guys have finally figured out who they are, and I think that's why they're having the success that they're having, because as you know, it's about what takes place in that clubhouse, in that locker room, and believing in yourself and believing in each other. And it's all for one, one for all type of deal. And I think that was the thing with us that made us so good was that, you got all different kind of personalities. But the one thing you got in common is that everybody wanted to win. That's it. And not only wanted to win, but we expected to win. There's a difference. Everybody wants to win. But when we showed up, we expected to win. And that was the thing where it's like, when teams got out on us, we was like, bro, what inning is it? Oh, it's the 5th? Oh, shit. We got to get going. Because we expected to win. We knew, like, we were going to beat you. It was just by how much we were going to beat you. It didn't matter if we were down because we expected to win. And I think that this team has gotten to that point. They've got a little bit more, like, I want to say, laid back demeanor than what we had. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like it's a very even keel to where it's like they know when to kind of turn it on when they need to, and it's there. It's there, but it's. I see it in all the players. You could put the lineups right next to each other, and you can go like toe to toe with each person in the lineup. So it's a cool thing to kind of see and have the comparisons. They probably had the better pitching staff than we did back in 08 because our pitching staff, like we had better pitching staffs like in 09 and 10 and 11 when we had Roy Oswalt, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, Roy Halladay. Like, bro, you were making reservations and showing up early for games, bro. It was like all we gotta do is score one run. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
So
back when pitchers used to
when they
go
complete
complete
game,
nine.
Go the distance.
Yeah, they didn't want to come out. They didn't want to come out. So I think they've got that. I think they probably had the nod pitching wise, but our pitchers still would go out there and compete. And that's the one thing that you can always ask for. You could always count on our guys. Because even Jamie Moyer, man, like Jamie was 44. He was like 42, 44. He'd been in the league for like 22 years and made it, and then went in there and did his thing, put him to sleep.
Close it.
One thing you mentioned is establishing your identity. I know for football, we do that. Training camp is where you kind of find out what you've gotten from the draft, free agency, et cetera. When do you guys in the MLB establish the team's identity for that season?
I mean, usually you try to do that in spring training. I mean, we had, for our team, the difference with this team and our team was we had a lot of homegrown players. So like myself, Jimmy Rollins, Cole Hamels, Chase Utley, we all came up as Phillies. Shane came over in Rule 5. Carlos Ruiz and I came up in the minor leagues together, like at every level. Shane came over in Rule 5. We were roommates in AAA. Jason Worth came over later. And then you just, kind of add pieces here and there. This team, Bryce came over as a free agent. Castellanos came over as a free agent. Schwarber came over as a free agent. So you had Stout, you got Baum, you got a few guys that are homegrown guys. But again, they've been able to play long enough now to where you're able to gel and get that process. I mean, usually it starts in spring training, but sometimes it takes a few years to kind of get that feel going, because if guys haven't played together in minor leagues or really know each other like that, then it'll take a second for it to gel.
Like, this is one of the things, like I hold my sport in very high regard. Mm-hmm. And a lot of as I should, because a lot of it is because of my personal experience. Mm-hmm. But when I look at what it takes to get to the bigs, get to the majors, man, it's a haul.
Yeah.
And when you talk about going through the minors, how hard is that? Can you kind of simplify that for me in terms of like, what do you have to go through, endure in order to get to that next level?
I say it all the time, and it goes out to my man, Sweet Lou Collier. Like when we were in AAA and whatnot playing, and we were talking about it to where it's like, man, when you get drafted, baseball is like one of the only sports where when you get drafted, you got to go into the minor leagues. We call it the bushes, the jungle, right? Because when you're standing there, you're standing here at the mountaintop right now, and you're looking across, and you see the mountaintop, and you see that's the major leagues over there. What you don't see is this valley, this jungle you got to go through to get there. Because like basketball, you get drafted, boom, you go straight to the NBA. Football, you get drafted, boom, straight in the NFL. Baseball, you got to go in them bushes. And I've seen it to where first rounders at the time we had 50 rounds. And so I was a fifth rounder. But like if you're a first rounder, right? I tell people all the time, I was like, man, that first rounder, bro, you can get everything. You can get the map, you can get the backpack, you can get the machete, you can get everything you need to get to try to get through there, right?
Gotta get out of the
jungle. They gave you that money. They gave you that signing bonus to try to get in there. I seen first rounders get tangled up in them weeds, man, and not make it out. It's the one thing about minor leagues is like, the first thing is that the wood for hitters tells the truth. I remember I got drafted, and the year I got drafted, 2001, there was a cat from University of Miami that year who they went to College World Series. He hit like 30 home runs that year, 30 plus homers in college that year. And he was drafted by the Braves, and we were in the same minor league, the New York Penn League. And he was there for like, I signed late, and he was there for like 2 weeks or something like that, 2.5 weeks or whatever before me. And he had like 6 homers. And so, and I signed late and I came in, and then within like 2 weeks of being there, I was tied with him for homers. So the one thing that it did for me, because I went to Missouri State University, shout out to the Bears.
Shout out to the Bears.
And basically like I tied it, and I was like, yo, this dude went to the University of Miami. I went where I went. Like, he's supposed to be head and shoulders better than me.
Above you.
Right? And what that taught me at that moment was that this wood will tell the truth. Don't matter what school you went to. Like, if you can't figure out how to swing this thing, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not gonna make it. And so, you know, at that point, it was looking at like, all right, I'm not only going up against these people across the diamond, but I'm going up against dudes that are wearing the same uniform as me. My scout used to always come back and tell me, he was great. And he used to come visit and say, what's up? My man, Jerry Lafferty. And he'd say, all right, Ryan, man, hey, it was great visiting with you, great seeing you, but I got to get on the road. I got to go find your replacement. You say it all the time. And I said, all right, Jerry, when you find him, you bring him here. We'll see who's left standing. Because if you are afraid of competition, you're not going to make it. Like, you have to be confident in yourself and in your ability. And going through them bushes, man, it's tough, man. You go into cities you never would have ever thought you were in. I was in Batavia, New York, like my first year. And that's smack dab between Buffalo and Rochester, right? And it's just, it's some of those different places and minor leagues and all that bus rides. We had 17-hour bus rides from New Jersey down to Rome, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. Bruh, it was, yeah, now them cats are flying.
Now they flying.
Oh, now they
yeah, it was. It basically was. But I will say this, though. It was also some of the funnest times I ever had because, like, the relationships and the places that you've been and just the ball. Because you get cool with guys on the other team. So it's also kind of like, not only are you coming up with guys on your own team, like myself and Carlos Ruiz played like each level and we both made it to the big leagues together, but Robinson Cano with the Yankees. Robbie was like on the Yankees in every division that I played in. So it was like, we came up together. Yeah. So like, you're happy for him, like I'm happy for him and some of the other guys because it's like, we all know what it was like and we all kind of came up together even though we were in different organizations.
You said the wood would tell the truth.
Oh, it'll tell the truth.
Perfect segue for this segment powered by Yellowwood. It's called Bringing the Lumber.
Okay.
All right. We're celebrating the hardest tackles, the biggest hits on the field, protecting your turf, just like Yellowwood protects your backyard from the elements. As the fastest player to reach 100 home runs and 200 home runs in the MLB, what was Ryan Howard's Bringing the Lumber moment?
Ooh. Man, it's in terms of like what was the best homer?
Best home run,
the best one that was like that.
The one that you was like, yeah, I did that.
I'm him.
Ooh, the damn moment.
Yeah. I'm that Negro.
I'd probably have to say 2006 against your boys off Mike Mussina in the third deck in St. Park.
Put that thing in the third deck.
Yeah. It was I don't know what happened, dude. I blacked out on that one, but it went up, and then just seeing my teammates Ryan Madsen and Brett Myers' faces, like when they saw where it landed, yeah, that was like damn, like that was one of those like ooh, damn, like I did that.
When that bat hits the ball, and people have said what's the best sound in sports? It's the swish from a basketball, it's the crack of the bat, the sound of a golf ball. What does it feel like when you make that contact at the sweet spot of the bat and send the ball?
Sometimes it's like when you hit it so flush, it's almost like you don't even feel like the ball came off the bat. Like you hit it so pure that it was like the ball just sunk into the bat and then just shot out. Now, the other things I've noticed too is that sometimes like guys would ask me that same question or whatever, and I was like, bro, I don't know, but it got loud. Like it was really loud. Like you can hear it, but it's almost, but you can't feel it almost. It's like a really light feeling, and it just goes, wah. And it's like, damn, I got that one. Like for sure. Like it's a wrap.
That was it.
Yeah. I might as well just touch home plate and just walk. I don't even need to run the bases.
what I'm going around for. You know?
I mean, in today's game, it's like you might as well. Like if a dude hits a home run like that, you might as well just
camp out.
Just
right?
touch home plate. Don't even run the bases.
Right.
Just touch home plate and just go straight back. Bro.
Get out the batter's box and come right back.
I mean, it's gonna get there, I think, at some point. So you might as well do it.
I know y'all trying to speed the game up.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, that's it. You know what? It's funny you say that because it's like I think people have really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Because like baseball, especially when I keep picking on the Yankees, but you had them Yankees Red Sox games that would last for like 3 days.
Yeah, you know
what I mean? It'd be like
After
5-hour
midnight.
games.
Yeah.
So I mean, now I think on average it's about 2:30, somewhere in there, 2:40, 2:30, which I mean is great, for the attention span of everybody, and it keeps the action, I think, of the game and the pace of the game a lot better and a lot more interesting.
Yeah, one of the things that I saw well-rounded, we talked about you obviously being a great player, but taking it to the next level. You teamed up with the commissioner. You guys created the cap. I like that, no cap.
Right.
But this is real cap. But the commissioner's ambassadors program, and that program, me just looking it up, is to support the enthusiasm of the game, grow the game for the next generation that's coming behind you. Mm-hmm. Can you expand more on that, some of the things that what you guys are doing with the CAP, commissioners, ambassadors?
It's been amazing. First off, man, it's like being in the clubhouse all over again with the guys that we have. We've got a bunch of great former players, first and foremost, like great character guys that were great character guys on the field, great players on the field. But we all have the same mindset of how can we help to contribute to try to make the game a better game, and also bringing more players, former players, back to the game in different facets of, okay, being able to work and coincide with at the commissioner's office to where it's like, hey, if you want to learn about this aspect of the game, kind of lift the curtain, get behind the scenes, and learn more about this division and what takes place in this division of baseball, or get more involved with some of the youth programs that Major League Baseball is doing, or other kind of opportunities. I was able to do a lot of the stuff with the Rickwood game that we had earlier this year in support and honoring the former living Negro League players down at Rickwood, Alabama, which was amazing. That game was between the Cardinals and the Giants. So just doing different things in that facet and that nature, and just being able to try to help, bring our little bit of expertise to the game, and just trying to help continue to grow the game in the best way possible.
How important is it for you to get the youth, young players that look like you, to stay in the game?
It's very important. It's very important. I mean, I grew up in St. Louis. I was a Cardinals fan growing up, so the majority of the guys on that team look like me. It was Ozzie Smith, Terry Pendleton, Willie McGee, Vince Coleman. Man, I mean, it seemed like.
Now that you bring that up, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Because I've been a big baseball fan, even
Yeah.
from, you right here in Braves country. So
Yeah. So I mean, it was the same.
Yeah.
It was the same. I think at that time, this was back in like the 80s. So I think like the 70s and 80s was, I think, probably close to the peak of black ball players. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40-45% of the players or something like that. Somewhere between 30 to 45% of the players were black in Major League Baseball. So, growing up and seeing those guys that look like me, I idolized Griff. Like Ken Griffey Jr. was my guy. Barry was my guy. Tony Gwynn was my guy. I mean, amongst a bunch of others. I didn't have the speed like Ricky, though.
Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, I didn't have the speed like Ricky.
you didn't have the speed like Ricky?
I did
How
back
is
then.
this guy?
I did back then. I was the fastest in the second grade, man.
Hey, that's it.
Look it
You
up.
gotta take
PS
that.
152, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
Promise.
You got to take them dubs. Take those dubs.
Yeah, Mr. Howard.
You got to take that.
You got over
Take
here,
that.
man.
We're taking victories all day. but I mean, it's and looking at it and seeing guys that look like me, I was like, yeah, I want to play.
Yeah.
I want to be able to play this game. And it was another outlet, outside of football and basketball. It was just baseball was a sport. Baseball was a sport. Like growing up, like you play with your friends in the middle of the street. Like where I grew up before, we had like the block, and we were like right at the end. We had a dead end at the end of the street. So we'd play kickball, we'd play like tag, we'd play kill the man in football and all kind of stuff. But we played baseball too. So we would play everything, and it was just getting out and just playing to play. And it's like, I don't know how much now you really see as much like kids just out playing. And I think a lot of it, in terms of getting more black kids to play, there's programs and stuff that MLB is doing to implement and try to help get that, because there are more black kids playing. Yeah. Now it's a matter of getting them to be able to, make it and get up to the big leagues. But there's a good amount of young black kids playing the game. And, we just try to get out and mentor and help and facilitate that the best ways that we can.
Yeah, one of the things, like, for me, I've always been infatuated with actually just hitting the baseball, bro. I grew up playing softball. And, once I kind of kept going up, same story too. Somebody threw me a fastball I never could hit. And I was like, let me take my ass right on over here to where I control the hitting.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not going to miss. But just seeing a bunch of brothers, you can't be what you can't see. And I think that's a lot of the thought process when you grow up in different hoods in America. And, when I think of yourself, I think of Jimmy Rollins, Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, Doc Gooden, Eddie Murray, the list goes on. Now you don't see that. And you talked about programs are coming back around. What are some ways, or what are some of the things that you guys are doing to be able to try to reach back and to bring up that black population right here in America? Because you see a lot of Latino players, right, they come over, but you're like, man, where are the black guys at?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, again, there's a lot more. There's some different programs. Off the top of my head, I went blank on it, but different programs that MLB has implemented and looking to implement in terms of trying to get those numbers back up. I know my guys over at the Players Alliance is also being able to do that and helping to provide gear and different things of that sort to more underserved, underprivileged and underserved community, black and brown communities, to be able to try to help build the game up that way. I think personally, one of my things is like over in like Venezuela, Dominican, and things of that sort, you have these academies that kids and players over there are able to go to these academies. And I think what should happen or needs to happen is like bring those academies here, put them in these areas to where you can give these kids that opportunity to play. Like right now we have the RBI program, which is reviving baseball in inner cities, but I think it could be taken to another level. And I think that's something that, we'll probably try to have conversations about and see how we can help better that to help grow and not only give these kids what they need, but also the coaching and the development in terms of what they need. Because this day and age, everything is about showcases. And
which requires money.
Right, yeah. Which require money, but it's about showcases to where you can get out here and go get seen by MLB scouts or college scouts and all that kind of stuff. So it's a work in progress, but I think with Rob and the work that Rob and the commissioner's office is doing, the one thing I love about them is that they're very progressive and they're very forward thinking, I think, in terms of growing the game, because they want this to be America's game. Like they want it to be a great game for everybody to come out and come play. And so you got to give those opportunities. Actually, it's very important that we can get the best athletes to be able to play the game. Because my one buddy, Jed Lowry, said it too. He's like, you know, baseball can have a tendency of becoming a country club sport where only the people who can afford to play the game, that's going to be all you get to choose from. So I think there's definitely things in the works in terms of trying to get better players, or not get better players, but get more black kids and black youth involved, which there already are. But I think it's those numbers are going to continue to grow.
We're talking about some of the players that we admire growing up, right? And obviously, Ricky Henderson was my guy.
Yeah.
And Takeo joked at it. But what was Ricky Henderson known for? What were some of the things? Obviously, in my opinion, the best leadoff hitter of all time. What else was he known for?
Stealing bases, baby.
And another thing I used to do as a kid was steal. So potato chips, sodas.
That explains why your big ass. You don't even supposed to be this way. He done lost weight when he got to the league.
Right. Oh, no.
The stores, man, and I'll kid you not, bro. Baseball cards. I remember one time, bro, we went to this this pharmacy and they had baseball cards. I went in there, sweats full of baseball cards. We get out there. One of my boys got caught. So we run across the street. They like, all right, they trying to catch him. We go across the street, get some potato chips and sodas. So they see us. I run. Take off running. I'm gone. I don't get caught. One of my other boys get caught. They like, two, such and such caught. I think it was Ramel. Ramel got caught. Come back. He's like, yeah, you the one. You took the soda. I saw you. I said, I ain't got it. He said, you got it in your pants. I said, no, I don't. I said, look. Pull it down. Baseball cards come out from across the street.
Oh, man.
But I didn't get caught. The one time I got caught, I stole a damn mechanical pencil. Some nerd shit, bro. A mechanical pencil.
You are a nerd, though.
I'm intellectual, but I stole a mechanical pencil, and that's what went off going out of the store. And when I finally heard the alarm, all these years of stealing, never heard it. I finally heard the alarm. I froze, and that's when I got caught. But Ricky Henderson was my guy because I always used to steal, never get caught. But that's not. I'm not saying kids don't do that. That ain't
good thing your ass got caught there.
Yeah, that's a damn good thing because who knows where it could have went to.
Yeah, right.
Cars or something else. Nah, we ain't get into that. But with all of that, who were some of the players you looked up to when you were growing up?
I mean, again, man, I grew up watching the Cardinals, Ozzie, Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, all those guys. But my guys was Ken Griffey Jr. That was my I had the shoes. I had the stance.
You used to rock the hat backwards, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Believe that.
Kid.
Yes, sir. So Ken Griffey Jr., like I said, Barry Bonds, and then Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn, because you had all of them. The things I loved about those guys was how they carried themselves and the swagger they had. Because Ken, Jr. was basically the guy that kind of he started to change the game, right? And make it look more fun, right? Like he was being a kid. And then Barry, when Barry hit a homer, Barry do that little twirl or kind of sit back on you, and then Griff had that drop on you.
Sweet.
And it was it was fun watching those guys be themselves in a game where it was kind of like, hey man, you gotta suppress that a little bit. But it was like seeing those guys, it's like, man, I want to be like that. I want to be able to go and do this. And then Tony Gwynn from the standpoint you can't hit home runs if you don't put the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
And so it was the mind of Tony Gwynn, contact with the power of Barry and Ken Griffey Jr. And they were just all great all-around athletes because I believe Tony Gwynn played basketball in college at San Diego State. I'm just saying. We had that earlier conversation as well where he was doing it. And
that's a good one.
And I played with his son, T. Gwynn Jr. We were actually in Arizona in the Arizona Fall League. And this dude, Charlton Jimerson, who played at the University of Miami, football that is, and baseball. And he was in the Houston Astros organization. And just, keep going back to that whole athlete, you know what I'm saying? And we were at a LA Fitness or something like that. And we were all hooping. And I remember T. Gwynn Jr. got the ball, boom, 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 crossed this dude over so bad, threw this oop up, and Jimerson came down and waka. on this dude. I was like, bro, I gotta go.
Time to get out of here.
Bro, he dunked
Time to
all
go.
over this dude,
Time to
man. Dunked all over this dude. And it was just like, bro, you probably might want to go home after this, bro.
Yeah.
Here's your bag.
Here's a bag.
You can't keep playing after
Don't forget
that,
your keys.
You can't keep playing. But it was great because I wanted to be like a well-rounded athlete, like in the same way that they were, to where you had the speed, you had the power, you could hit for average, like try to just do exactly what they were doing.
Top 5 all-time first baseman.
Ooh, that's a good one, man. I gotta throw my man out there, AP, Albert Pujols. I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to hit with him. I was still in the minor leagues because one of the coaches was a coach in the New York Penn League where I first started out, and he was from St. Louis. Wow. And he's like, man, if you're back home and you need a place to hit, like I throw to some guys or whatever. He didn't tell me who he threw to, but he's like, I throw to some guys and I show up, and it was like Mike Matheny, John Mabry, and Albert. And I was like, so it was cool being able to watch him hit. So him, I'd have to say, man, who else? Can I throw my man Poppy out there? Because he did play first base before he became a DH.
Yeah.
I love Poppy.
That's where he started out at, right?
I love Poppy because Poppy was clutch, man. Like he lived for those big for the big moments when the lights were the brightest. Like Poppy was ready, bro. He's like Poppy ready to show out.
Yeah.
So I'd say Poppy. I mean, obviously, I want to say what was it? Lou Gehrig.
Yes.
Lou Gehrig played first.
Yes,
I mean, he was the original Iron Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the longevity of what he was able to do, like, and the whole story behind that. Now you heard the story as to how he got to playing, right?
No, I didn't.
So the
Educate your boy.
guy that was playing before him was like Wally Pipp.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was Wally Pipp that was playing.
Oh,
And he asked for a day off, or he needed a day off or something like that. And that was the last day he played. So it was like, basically, I mean, like after that, it was like Lou came in and just started doing his thing, man.
Yeah.
So I would throw him in there as well. Man, first base, dude, it's so deep. It's so deep, man. I'll say one of my favorites. I'm gonna throw in one of my favorites.
okay.
My man Prince Fielder. I gotta throw in Prince Fielder, dude.
Okay, hey,
I
appreciate you showing.
I love, bro. I loved playing against Prince, dude. It was so funny. Like whenever he would hit a homer, like whenever I knew he hit a homer, I wouldn't even watch the ball. I would just watch Prince. Because it was like he'd hit it, and it was like he got electrocuted or something. And he'd like, and just like throw the bat up. I was like, this dude is a fool, bro. Like I loved watching him, man. Love playing against some great dude. And then lastly, man, there's so many. I don't really know. I mean, that.
Yeah, put yourself in
it's-
there.
Maybe
Yeah,
sometimes
man.
you just look in the mirror and
Yeah,
just
put
say,
your-
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's just me. Yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, I know what I was able to do. Because it was such a great group of first basemen. Like when I was playing, and like Adrian Gonzalez and Derek Lee and Carlos Lee and Lance Berkman and all that kind of stuff, man. That's why I say it's like when I was playing, it was deep, bro. Like you to try to make an all-star team, you had to be on it. But yeah, man. I mean, aside from myself, I can't really think of anybody else. Those other 4 guys.
So go ahead and round out the infield. You putting your GM, your manager, your
Okay.
team owner hat
Okay,
on.
we're
So
gonna
who
get
you got the rest of the infield. Who,
You know what? We're gonna
who
get
we got?
suave with it and go up the middle. We're gonna go Roberto Alomar. We'll throw him
Second
out
base.
there with Vizquel because it's gonna be some showtime. Not a whole lot of stuff's gonna get through. Third base can be a little tricky. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I mean, you can go Scotty Rowland over there, Brooks Robinson at third.
Mike Schmidt.
You can go Smitty at third. Yep.
Other Philly.
Let's see. Catcher. Man, you can go my man Benito Santiago.
Oh yeah. Cool.
You can go Piazza catching. And so, yeah, I'd say some of those guys. Actually, you know what? I got one more for you. I got Yachty. Molina. Yachty Molina, man. He was, I think Yachty, when I was playing, I thought the two best catchers in the game at that time were Yadier Molina and Carlos Ruiz. And Yachty hit a little bit better than Carlos, but when it came to calling games, those two, I don't think there was anybody better than calling games and being able to throw runners out. Like their knowledge of the game, like to me, those two were the best catchers. Like when I was playing, just watching. Yachty got me too, bro.
What did he hit you with?
Bro, he got me one time. I was on first and I had a big lead, and I don't know what happened, but like we just made eye contact, and I think I tried to steal or something like that, and he got me out or whatever. And we just looked at each other. He just looked at me. He's like, he was like, what they say, you should have never looked him in the eyes or whatever. Yeah.
You looked
like, yeah, exactly. But Yachty, dude, I love playing against Yachty, bro. He was great, man. Great guy, great competitor. And like I said, the way he handled a pitching staff, like, you know, it's interesting because now you got the mics and stuff like that to where they're calling the pitches differently and everything. So when they were putting them fingers down, man, he knew what fingers to put down.
For sure. See, you should have did the Ricky Henderson and like I did and with the stealing. But nah, I love that lineup. Another Phillies great, like I said, Mike Schmidt. I think
Smitty for sure.
I like him. Ernie Banks.
Oh yeah,
one of the best home run hitting shortstops outside of A-Rod in his early days.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie, obviously, at second base, 10-time Gold Glover. Pujols, the sheer power, and Lou Gehrig. So yeah, you right on.
Oh
point.
Yeah. Well, we got to throw in a couple more.
Who's on the mound?
Satchel. Yeah, I throw Satchel out.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you could throw him out.
Baby.
Yeah, you could throw him out at any age.
It is.
You know what I mean? So Satchel, and then you got to throw out Josh Gibson too, man. Like greatest home run hitter of all time now. So now that the record has been set straight and those numbers have been added.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, it's great, man.
That's
great.
cool.
That's why I say it's like with MLB and what they've been doing. I tell people all the time, growing up in St. Louis, the Negro League Museum is in Kansas City. And so my son lives up in Kansas City, so I'd always go see him before I would go down to spring training. His birthday is the end of January. And so I would always make it a point. It was part of my preseason routine that I would go stop into the Negro League Museum. And if you haven't been there, you should go. It's really dope. Like you walk in, and the first thing you see to your right is you walk through this turnstile and you see this field. And you see the field with all the statues. And so right on the outside of it is a statue of Buck O'Neil with his leg up on the bench like he's the manager looking out on the players. And you got Cool Papa Bell, Oscar Charleston, Satchel on the mound, Josh Gibson behind home. But you can't go directly to the field. So you got to walk through. And you walk through the entire exhibit first, and the last place that you come is out on the field. And so I used to always walk through, and just, for me, it was just kind of taking in the history, those that came before me, and I would go through, once I got to the field, I would go through and I would touch every statue as though it was like taking a piece of them with me to where it was like, all right, we about to go out here this year, so I'm taking y'all with me out here it was my way of paying homage to those guys, to those gentlemen who came before me who never got that shot. And I'm trying to make it to where I say, man, I'm trying to take y'all with me so y'all can get it through me. And so it was always one of like the coolest things for me to be able to go there and play. So now to have their stats count from Major League Baseball, it's well overdue. Yeah. But like I said, I think with what Major League Baseball is doing in some of these initiatives and being able to add that, man, it's right. Yeah. It's right.
Bro, that's deep, bro.
No, I appreciate
that's deep.
Because
I did it one time. I went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton.
Yeah.
Before I had tore my Achilles, and I was like, man, let me just start over. Let me get back down to my grassroots. And to be able to take that trip, you see a lot of guys who, you hear the stories and everything. So that gave me chills, bro. So hey, respect to that.
Appreciate you.
Respect.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Hey, Shohei Ohtani, have you ever seen anything like this before?
Shohei Ohtani, aka Show Me the Money. Bro, he is a special breed, bro. He is a freak of freaks.
That's what I'm thinking that because, like, when I love Marvel. And when I think of him, you know who I think of? Captain America. He was the perfect soldier.
Right.
You know, how they constructed. But I just...
So my first time seeing Shohei like in person was like, what was it, last year, I think, at the World Baseball Classic in Miami. Like really being like able to watch him and like see him hit. And the game was in Miami at Marlins Stadium down there. I'm watching this dude take batting practice and he's hitting balls in the upper deck with ease, effortlessly. And I'm like, this dude is different. Big dude.
In the upper deck?
Big dude, like straightaway center, hitting stuff off like the second deck and stuff like that.
That's the longest part of the field.
Yeah, and the ball doesn't really fly in that stadium very well. And it's like, I'm like, he's doing this with very little effort. Like doing back, I'm like, this dude is different. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's the wood, I don't know what, like, but he's different, bro. But he's built, he's big, he's built. And bro, to do what he did this year and being the first and only member in the 50-50 club. Because we heard about it. Ricky was part of the 40-40 club. Canseco, like all them cats, Barry, like all them dudes that was a part of the 40-40 club. This dude started a club of his own.
54 home runs, 59 bases.
Yeah. And I mean, to do that. And then, don't forget, he can pitch. You know what I mean? So he's what you would deem the modern day Babe Ruth, so to speak, in that to where, his arm gets better and he can go out and he can pitch. Like, he can literally win a game by himself. Like, literally. He can go up there, throw a shutout, and hit a solo homer and win the game by himself.
Really good.
Yeah. Like, it's unheard of. Like,
so that justifies the $700 million? Was it 700?
Yeah, it's like 7. Yeah, 7 and some change. 7 and some change. But I mean, but that's the thing about baseball, man. It's like there's you have the luxury taxes and stuff like that, but you don't have a cap. Obviously, I remember telling my son when he was a little bit younger, I was like, hey man, hopefully if you can do this thing, by the time you can get up here, somebody's gonna be making half a B. So now they're surpassing it. Because I think Soto's probably gonna get somewhere north of 500 million. He'll probably get somewhere in that 6. But I mean, with what Ohtani has been able to do for the game, right? I think it's kind of like what Griffey was able to kind of do for the game back when he was playing. And it's taking it to the next level to where you have some of these guys that are either coming out of college, coming out of high school that are pitchers and position players and whatnot and want to try to potentially do both. If you can be beneficial in that aspect, you just got 2 players for the price of 1. Well, they got about
3, 4.
They got 2 players for the price of about 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But in his marketability and everything he's been able to do, that was a great move for the Dodgers. It's a great move. I mean, they'll make that money back if they haven't already. But you got a once-in-a-generation type player. And as long as he can stay healthy, like, he's going to put up Hall of Fame numbers. I mean, you look at what Ichiro did when Ichiro came over. Ichiro had been over in Japan for, I think, like 9 or 10 years prior to, and then came over here and got 3,000 hits. More than 3,000 hits. So, he's a special breed, man. He's definitely that dude to where, like, you don't want to miss an at bat. You definitely want to see what's going to happen.
Last question for you. Moving out of the game, when we all have a shelf life, expiration date, I like to call it. And transitioning out of the game, it comes with its challenges. when you're so used to being programmed and having the support system, this person doing that, this person got your mail, this person running your fan club, but when it's over, it's all over.
Mhm.
Then you have to transition into another form of you. How challenging has that been for you, especially with you achieving such great heights in the business world?
Ooh, it really hadn't been, because I think you are who you are prior to, like, the fame, the fortunes, all that kind of stuff. Like, you are who you are. You know what I mean? Like, your core, do things change? Yeah. Because, like, you get money or whatever and things change. You get yourself nice stuff and this and that or whatever. You get some of those amenities and things of that stuff. But I think that, like, when you can really, and, like, look, we get spoiled. We get spoiled. Like, there's no doubt. Like, you do get changed. Like, afterwards, you're like, okay, I created a certain type of lifestyle for myself and I want to say, but at the same time, man, it's like, I never forgot. Hey, Pops yelling up at me and my brother during the summer, like, hey, bro, I need y'all to tackle that grass today.
Yeah.
Go sweep that driveway. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that is all about your work ethic in terms of, like, how you were, if you were brought up and you had that work ethic and you had that ability of being hungry, right? It's just, you go into it understanding, like, hey, I'm gonna have way more life off the field than I ever will on the field. And that's even if I'm playing 20 years in the big leagues or whatever. Like, I may have another, hopefully 40 to 60 years out. So you still got to figure it out. So it's understanding what it is that, all right, I want to try to get into the things that I want to be able to do, and basically saying, okay, this baseball is my platform. The way I looked at it was kind of like Jay-Z, where music and rap and everything was his platform. That's how he jumped it off to where he was able to do his other things with his businesses, with 40/40 Club and Ace of Spades and, like, all that stuff, Rockaware, when they did all that. Like, this is what's fueling it, me making records, him making records. This is what fuels it. But this is boom, boom, boom. He always had that vision over here. And I think that's the toughest thing, is that sometimes guys get to that end road of playing and they haven't thought about that, because you're like, I'm gonna play as long as I can play. Like, you could get injured tomorrow and you're done.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, what you gonna do? Because you were banking on playing for however long. And it's just, you have to start to look at what you're gonna do post your career. And especially in this day and age, there's so much more access, like with social media and just everything you can do. Everybody's a business. Everybody's a business. I mean, at this point, before, I remember it was kind of like you got paid, you did commercials or whatever and endorsements, and it was like, that was it. Now it's like, you are the endorsement. Like, you're your own brand. You can support other brands, but then you're your own brand, and now you can build yourself up and do whatever it is that you want to do and make money from it. Who knew? Like, sitting here with the podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Just being yourself.
Yeah.
Wait, you telling me I can get paid for being myself? Like, okay.
Sign
Like,
me.
outside. Yeah. So that's the interesting part about it, because the schedule gets crazy, especially having kids, man. Like, I was like you said, it was so structured. You knew what time you had to be at the field. You knew what you were going to do at the field. Like, all this kind of stuff. From like 2:30 to 11, like, boom, I'm at the field. Now it's like, all right, well, we got dance tonight. We got dance tomorrow. We got this. We got softball. We got golf. We got whatever it is. Like, it's like, damn, I feel like the schedule is crazier than it was when I was playing.
That's how
You know what I mean? But it's fun.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy being Pops. Duber, the dad Uber, all over the place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
So
Duber!
that's it. That's
call me
it, man.
Boys call me soccer mom. I don't have the van. No,
that's all good. But I think it's, when you can figure that out, and obviously you could take us out to sport, but you can't take the sport mentality out of us, because when it comes to business, like, we're going to automatically go back to what it is that we know, right? Because the same way for me to get where I needed to get to in baseball, y'all had to do it for football.
Yeah.
So you take that mentality of, okay, this is what I got to do business-wise. I got I got to do my homework, do my due diligence on this. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I always tell people it's always going to be roadblocks and bumps and stuff like that. And it's like, how do you respond to that? And like, I'll tell you a quick story. Like my sophomore year in high school, I was up, me and another dude, sophomores, trying out for the varsity squad. And they kept him. He played third base and was pitcher. And we didn't have a whole lot of pitchers. He threw about 88 to 90. And so they kept him and they sent me back down to the sophomore squad. And my old coach, who was ultimately my summer ball coach, came up to me and he said, look, man, he kept it 1,000 with me. He said, look, I know you're upset. I know you don't want to be here. I said, but you got two choices. You can either sing your shoulda, coulda, wouldas and be upset that you're not there, or put all your focus into what you need to do to get back up there. And I said, yeah, you're right. And so I did what I needed to do. I got called back up on the varsity squad. And then like my first game up, I had like a real good game. And then it taught me, and I've always had that, because you're always going to run into something. And what it comes down to is your mindset. Like you're the only person who can stop yourself. Like the world is going to throw stuff at you. It's all about how you respond. Because when I got drafted, you know, X amount of years later, like 2001, I think about 5 years later or whatever, the Phillies signed Jim Thome. And this was my first full season in the minor leagues in 2002. And they signed him to a 6-year deal. So again, I'm like, damn, man, they just signed Jim Thome, man, that's awesome. But then the player that's trying to get up there was like,
That's my spot.
they just signed Jim Thome. I was like, damn. So I got a choice. I can either be mad and be like, oh, I'll never make it because Jim Thome's here, or stay focused on the goal, which was to get to the big leagues, whether it was wearing a Phillies uniform or somebody else's uniform. It doesn't change the goal. It just changes the fact that it may be with these dudes, it may not be with these dudes. But I'm trying to get to the big leagues. I don't care who's in front of me. The goal changes. So there's gonna be roadblocks and stuff, man. But it's all about how you choose to spin it and how you choose to look at it.
Right.
And so I think with guys, coming out the game, man, it's just, if you can figure out whatever it is that you're passionate about or enjoy doing, because you've earned it, right? You've earned it.
True.
And now it's just it's time to like enjoy it, right? But also build off of it. Build off of it. Because you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to write a book, you can write a book. You want to do a podcast, you can do a podcast. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. Why? Because you earned it.
Right.
So, yeah, man. I mean, it was easier, I guess, for me to kind of get to that transition, because I just always remembered who I was, remember where I came from, cutting that grass, sweeping the driveway, doing all that kind of stuff, man, and just know, like, this stuff that I have was earned. And I tell my son that all the time. My son's 23, and he's working now, and I was like, yeah, man, you see all this stuff? This is mine. Like, I earned this. Like, if you want it, and I tell my daughters, like, my oldest about to be 10, 8, and then the youngest is 5, but I tell her, I was like, yeah, this stuff is great. It's nice, but you have to work for it. It's not given to you. You have to go work for it. Right. So you gotta create that mentality. And I think sometimes we just, and I'm a little guilty of it too, because now I got the girls, I got softened up a little bit, but but I still try to be a little hard on them and let them know, like, hey man, the world's not gonna be, all it's cracked up to be, and everybody's not gonna be nice, but you gotta work for it. If you want it, have that entrepreneurial spirit. And they was out trying to sell bracelets and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, man.
You definitely, you worked for it, you earned it, you MLB draft pick, All-Star several times, World Series champ, fastest to 100 and 200 home runs, countless accolades. One is not there yet. We say yet. So no lies in the lounge. Does Ryan Howard deserve to be in the MLB Hall of Fame?
Well, I mean, I don't make those calls, but I would love to. I would love to be, man. That is the ultimate honor, to be a part of like the 1% of the 1%. I would love to have a plaque in Cooperstown. We played a game up there earlier this year. It was funny because CC had set it up. We did a East-West All-Star homage game for the Negro Leagues. And I remember CC coming to me last year and was like, hey, bro, I need you to carve this date out. He's like, we're going to play a game. And I'm thinking like, oh, yeah, we're going to do like a softball game? He's like, nah, like a game. Like a game? Like a real game? He's like,
running?
Like we're pitching. So
I got him.
but we got, the opportunity to go up there and go walk through. And I mean, it's amazing. But that would be the ultimate honor to, somehow wind up in the Hall of Fame, man. I'd love that.
Speaking into fruition, man.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
You got this.
Cheers to that.
Man.
Definitely.
I got my coffee over here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Behind the mask.